Hello, good morning, and welcome to day 2 of the Small Business Saturday digital tour. Come on in. See lots of people coming through. Do say hello in the chat. It's lovely to see so many people here this morning. So today we are talking about how you can create impactful content with limited resources with the wonderful Charelle Griffith, who is on screen with me now. Hi, Charelle.
Hello.
We will be recording today, so if you miss out on anything, don't worry. We'll be sending you a recording kind of with all of the replays this week on Friday or Saturday, so you can catch up on anything that you've missed. If you do have any questions, pop them in the Q&A at the bottom. We'll be going through those at the end with a bit of a live Q&A with Charelle. Thank you all for joining, and do remember that if you attend 10 or more webinars in the tour series, we will send you a little Christmas gift. So make sure you sign up to 10 and come along to those to get that. I will hand over to you, Charelle, and I will put back at the end for questions.
Fabulous. So as I was kindly introduced, my name is Charelle Griffith, and we're going to talk about creating impactful content with limited resources. So I see a few people have already started. I will be keeping a little bit of an eye on the chat. There was a few questions I do ask live. So if it really means a lot to me if you would respond when I ask. And if right now you're coming in, if you can let me know what your name is, where you're from, what your business is, that's going to be super helpful. If you've never come across me before, I am a marketing strategist and an online business mentor. So I have over 10 years experience in professional marketing. My background was in live entertainment. So I worked on national tours and I worked in the West End for a number of years before starting my own business in 2018. And then I became a chartered marketer in 2020, and I still am. I have to do a lot of CPD every year to keep that. So it's something I'm very proud of. And so I'm definitely someone that combines old school strategical thinking marketing with modern ways that as a small business owner you can use yourself. I have won multiple awards both for marketing and for blogging, and I love a sparkly dress, hence the pictures you will see on the screen. It's great to see people sharing what they're doing. And most importantly, I create all of my own content. So there definitely are some people that are in the marketing space that don't do it all. I'm someone that does. I blog every single week. I send out 2 emails to my newsletter, and I post daily on LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. So I am absolutely someone who, as a solo, I do all by myself, understands the reality of doing marketing, either if you're the only person that's done it. So I have worked in small businesses where it was just me. I was the one-stop marketing magician, I used to say. Or if you are the business owner and you're trying to do it alongside. I know that juggle is very real. So in this session, we're going to learn about maximizing content creation on a budget, leveraging storytelling creativity, and then repurposing and recycling content. I have got a lot to go through in the session. I am someone, the more excited I get, the faster I talk. So if I get too fast, just tell me to slow down. That's absolutely fine. And yeah, be ready to take some notes. So what I want to first go through, though, is that there are 5 content stages. And because this is a training with a limited time, I can't go through it all. So we start with content strategy, we move on to content planning, content creation, content distribution, and then content analysis. Now, when people think about creating impactful content, the sort of automatic thing is to think this is all going to be content creation. But I'm going to take it back, because actually it all comes down to your planning. If you want to have great content, you need to be planning. And actually where I find most small business owners are making mistakes when it comes to their content is they're sort of creating on their fly. They don't have a strategy, they don't have a plan, they don't actually have those firm foundations to mean that when they're creating, it's doing the work it needs to do. So one of these things we're going to look at is maximizing content creation on a budget. And it starts with knowing what your content goals are. Marketing at the end of the day is just helping you to bridge a gap where your business is now, where you want your business to be, how you are going to get there. Marketing is used to enable people to find out about your business, to enable people to buy from your business, to make those sales, to help you hit those revenue goals. So you need to have very clear business goals, which moves down to your sales targets, which then moves into your marketing goals. So some examples, what you might have for content marketing goals could be around increasing website visits, trying to get a number of discovery calls booked in, trying to improve your conversion rate on a sales page, looking at the number of inquiries you get, maybe subscribers on your email list. There are so many different types of marketing goals. And so when we talk about impactful content, my version of impactful content and your version of impactful content is going to be different, because it's based on what those content goals are. So if you do not have any content goals right now, That's where you need to start off with. You need to get clear about what do you even want to achieve through your content before you make anything else. So have a think about what content marketing goals you could set for your business. Does anyone right now actually already have some goals? Like, do you have clear what you are trying to achieve through your content in order to like support the rest of your business? Or is this something that you're like, actually, I need to go and answer myself? Let's see if anyone's willing to admit whether they've got some or not. Because yeah, if you don't have goals, you're just going to end up getting to a point where you're creating. Okay, we've got some goals. Thank you, Helen. We've got some people that have got, yes, they've got some. So that will help you when we're thinking now about what we're creating. That content is like, is that going to help me to achieve those goals? Because that's what you need to keep top of mind. So we're going to talk predominantly about organic content marketing. So that's the area that I predominantly specialize in. I do have a full service marketing background, but for most micro business owners, organic content is where people are starting. And that's because it's free. So we've got long form content. We've got like, you can have a blog, you can have a podcast, you can have a YouTube. Then we've got things like social media, all the channels. We've got LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X, Threads. I read someone's post the other day and they shared like 5 social media platforms I'd never even heard of. So there are endless versions of when it comes to social. And then you've got email. You could be sending out newsletters, you could be sending triggered or automated emails, and you could also be using segmented emails too. So even when you look just at the organic side, there are so many options in terms of as a business, as a marketer in someone else's business, you can be doing so many things you can be doing, which in terms of actual like financial backing are free. And even within them, we then have different types of content. So if we actually like go into social media, for example, you could be doing live video, you could be doing recorded video, photographs, graphics, audio snippets, text. Like there are so many options, and this is why it can easily get overwhelming. And that's why you have to be focused. Otherwise, it's easy to get caught up in just creating anything, jumping on trends, trying new things out. And there's nothing wrong with experimenting, but you need to be experimenting with purpose and direction. So this is why I'm going to talk to you about the buyer journey. So this is the journey every single person has to go through in order to buy from your business. And so you might have heard it called the customer journey. It doesn't matter. And you might see different people use different words. So like as a sim marketer, we always learn awareness, interest, desire, action. Some people might put awareness, nurturing, conversion. The words are less important than you getting this idea into your head, which is you need to first make someone become aware of your business. So we're all out in the world. No, they don't know about your business. And then they have that first touch point, the first time they're like, oh, this is a business that exists. For example, this might be today, might be the first time you've ever heard of me and my business, CharelleGriffith.com. This might be your awareness moment where now you've heard of me where you've never heard me before. Then you move through into engagement. This is where people have multiple touch points. This is where they find out more. They find out what your business actually does. They find out who they actually help. They find out what the services are, what the products are, why they're really valuable, why they're really useful. And then conversion is where you find out exactly how to buy and buy. And so you as a with your marketing need to always be thinking, how am I making sure that this buyer journey exists? And the way you do this is by actually mapping out your marketing channels with the buyer journey, because some marketing channels will only work for like one section of the buyer journey and some will work for multiple. And you need to make sure it's easy for people to complete the whole journey, but also you understand, because when we talk about impactful content, you want to be making sure you're creating the right content for the right stage in the journey. So for awareness, for example, we've got things like optimizing blog posts or YouTube channel, so you can lose in search so that people can type something in and you could become the answer, you get shown in the search results, and that's their first time. If you're using social media, for example, it's not just about posting social media. It's, do you need to be using hashtags? Do you need to be getting people to comment? Do you need to get people to tag people? Do you need to create content that people share with other people so that people get that first touch point with you? And you can run ads which are targeted ads. So you are choosing ads to be served to people based on specific demographics or psychographics. Then we've got engagement. So for example, email marketing, absolutely fabulous for engaging people, but you can't use it for awareness. Someone has to be aware of your business before they can get onto your email list. So that's a really good example of a marketing channel like that can't work across the whole board. You can use, again, social media in this middle bit, but the content you create to engage someone is very different to the content for awareness. And then even if you're using ads, there's a different types of ads you can use for engagement. You can be doing retargeting ads. So this is where actually you know a piece of information. So it might have been like they landed on a specific page on your website, for example, and then you're sending them an ad based off the back of that. So if you've ever had, there's two things in my life that I always remember it happening to me. A sofa that I really loved that followed me around for a very, very long time. And it happens very often with clothes. If you've ever had those ads that are following you around forever after you like went and you put it in your basket and then you didn't buy, for example, that's a retargeting ad. And then last but not least, with conversion, how do people actually buy from you? So I am in the service space and I will close some people on sales calls. You might just be someone that's on the sales page. So people literally go onto your website, there are pages, they click, they add to their basket, they buy. That is the full journey. So what you want to do is be able to map it out. So you might be someone very often new to business. I see social media, sales call. That's a very common one in the service space. You might be someone that's like, I've got a blog, I've got an email, I've got a sales page. This can work for both services and products. This, again, is a very, very common journey. You need to work out for your own business what journeys exist. And then it's about creating content for the right stage. So content for awareness, as I said, this is about bringing new people to your business. And so some of the main ways to do this are search, social media, and ads. Now, what is your ideal client or customer searching for? So one of the things I do is I help people become six-figure business owners. And so I have written content specifically around creating six-figure income and a coach, so that when people type this in, this was a search result that came up recently. I rank for multiple things in my business where I'm like, I know that is what my ideal client is trying to achieve, and they will find me through search. And that is why I get comments like this. I get people all the time when I ask people how they find out about me. Someone's like, I came across one of your blog posts via Google. How did I find you? Google search. Like, I know for me, even if I don't do other types of marketing in my business, people find me because of my blog posts have been optimized for search. Now, what will get people, another thing to look at is what will get people sharing your content and tagging. So if you're like, I'm not in the world of search yet, I don't have a blog, I don't have a YouTube channel, I don't have a podcast, but you're on social media, you can still think about how are you making new people find you by creating content that makes people share or tag. So this is an example from, I have another account on TikTok where I do all about travel and experiences. And this was a video that blew up last week, sorry. I got over like 2.5 million views on it. And the reason why it really started to take off was because people were tagging their friends. So from an awareness perspective, people were like, oh, I got tagged, they get a notification, they're coming to check out the page. And that was why it just kept on growing and growing and growing. So from an awareness perspective, it worked amazingly. That is why people do those competitions where they'll say like, tag a friend, who do you want to go with? Very often you see this, like I see it with spas a lot, where they'll be like, tag the person you want to go with. Or if people are doing events and they want to give tickets and they're like, we'll give you 2 tickets, tag the person who you would go with. If you're making people tag someone else, or you create content that is going to be shareable, that people are going to be sharing it in the DMs, they're going to be sharing it via WhatsApp, etc. What that's going to mean is someone that they trust is sending them the information or telling them to look at the information. And we trust that so much more. So you need to think for your own business, what is some of the tactics you can be using to be like getting new people onto your social media, rather than just you've got this audience at the moment that's just one size and no one new is coming into it. Then once you've got people in, that first touch point, as we said, we know you've got to move into content that is for engagement. So this is for people to get to know your business better and how you help people. So some of the examples for channels were social, email, and retargeting ads. And you need to think about, what do people need to know about your business and your offers in order to buy from you? So this section of marketing is where you really want to be looking at building the know, like, and trust factor. And so some of the things you can be including in your content are showing your face, get it out, get it on camera. People, humanizing businesses. People like to see the founders, the CEOs behind businesses. Even if you're a product-based business, it is becoming increasingly important. People buy from people. So if you are up for it, show your face. Provide social proof. Share examples of how people have used your product or your services and how valuable they found them. make some video content. The trend of video content has only been increasing. We know that like people are getting shorter attention spans. We know that, for example, all the social media platforms are all pushing making more video content, making more video content. If you haven't been creating any, this is something for you to add in. Behind the scenes, what is something that you can show people that makes them feel like that they're a bit of an insider? Give people that sneak peek. This is also really good. I see this done very well in the product world, where people are like sharing before like there's a new range or a new collection that comes out. So if you are like someone that's like, okay, I'm bringing something out, rather than just being like this burst and this is the day and then you're sharing it, it's like, how can you bring people along the journey? If you've actually been like designing a new range and like getting new samples and doing all that type of stuff, share it. Like people do like it. If you are someone that's got an expertise, make sure you're sharing that. Be consistent. This is like super important in terms of that. Realistically, buying online is risky. People give someone their money and they just hope that they get what they've asked for. And so it's particularly as small business owners where we don't have like the brand reputation that some of the big businesses might have, you need to be consistent. And that is about you setting whatever like standard is for your business and staying like that. Being consistent doesn't mean like you have to post X amount of times a day or anything like that, but it's just making sure that you're consistent on what platforms you're on and across everything. Like if I was to watch you on a YouTube video and I was to receive an email and then I was to see an ad, do they all feel the same? Do I know they're coming from the same brand? This is also super important when we talk about the fact that in order to make sales, people have to have multiple touch points. So now the stats usually are anywhere between like 9 to 11 plus you need to have of people to interact with you before they buy. If you aren't consistent, what that's going to mean is that people are like missing out on touch points because they are getting that interaction with your business, but they might not be realizing. Then we've got share your brand values. Values are something that people are increasingly becoming more like they want to buy from people and businesses and brands that have similar values, people that are using their money in a similar way to them, people that are trying to make the change in the world that they want to make change. So if you want to share those, that's going to help you to actually build stronger relationships with people and encourage people. It is a differentiator between choosing you versus another business. And then last but not least, actively engage. There's no point being on social media, for example, and then people are commenting and then you don't comment. Like if you are asking people to comment, make sure you are commenting, make sure you get back to people. People are sending you emails, respond to them. If you're asking for engagement, it's a two-way streak. So what will get people commenting, replying, or following your call to action? That's what you need to be thinking about in engagement. You need to be thinking about, okay, yes, there are some things I need to put out as a business to help people understand the business more, to build that know, like, and trust factor. But there is also an engaging part of engagement. You want the conversations to be happening. And some of the ways I used to talk about this is by using hand raiser content. And so you can create content that really helps you to like bring people out in your audience, because you're going to have an audience that's always going to be bigger than the people that are actually buying from you. And so I create content, I blog every week, as I said. And one of the things I really do is I really think what some of the blog posts I can write that then if someone comments on that, or if someone goes to watch it and read it, whatever, I know that that means ideally that actually they are the right type of people for me to be working with, because that's like they're in that right bracket. And so this is one where I wrote about successfully scaling your one-on-one service business, because I help people go from one-to-one to one-to-many. And then someone commented on that, and that gave me the ability to then be like, I can follow up now in the DMs. I had followed up in the DMs, got a call with them, and was able to take them down that buyer journey. So you might, if you're also running service, this might be a tactic for you to try out. Like, how can I create something that if someone responds to it, I know you actually aren't just like one of the many possibles in my audience, but someone that actually would find my what I offer very valuable. And what I want to highlight at this point as well is that when you create content that's taking people down that buyer journey, when you're trying to take people through, you might see drops in your likes, because actually usually lead generating content, it doesn't perform as well as likes. Awareness content is all about the likes. You're going to create great content that people share, that people find funny, that people tag other people in. The likes will keep on going and going and going and going. Like that is the whole point of awareness content. High likes. Whereas when you start moving further down into engaging in conversion, the likes are going to drop off, but that's not bad. So I did a post that was all about a masterclass that I was doing, all about becoming and staying fully booked. And someone like responded to that saying like, when I'm fully booked, my marketing is first thing to go, signing up for your masterclass. Now that posted awful, like 7 likes. What? Like loads of marketers be like, I wouldn't even share that. I was like, but that was the exact point of that post, was to get people to sign up to masterclass. So I don't care sometimes that a post is going to do awful on the likes. And this is particularly, I see this a lot with people, for example, on LinkedIn, where if you comment on stuff and if you like and stuff, your connections will see that, because there's lots of topics where if you personally have a business that is something where people don't want to admit they're struggling with, they don't want other people to know. So they are likely to even be clicking through on links. And that's why you have to be like checking on your back, like what's happening in your analytics, but not engage on your social. So just remember, like a dip in likes isn't a bad thing if it's doing what your content's meant to be doing, if this has been the impact you want it to achieve. So then for conversion, you want to think about what will make people buy. So you need to be sharing the benefits of your offer. You need to be focusing on like one offer at a time. So actually this is where you start to do like spotlights and highlights and really making it clear, these are the things you can buy from me at this moment in time. You want to be using testimonials, case studies, and social proofs, and including clear call to action. You, as with all the content, want to all be thinking, what do I want people to do next? But particularly with conversion, make it obvious to people what they're meant to do. And I know this is going to sound like, well, doesn't everyone do that? But there's so many posts where it isn't clear really what people want to do. You literally want to be telling people like, fill in an application form, DM them, download, sign up, register, enter, click, buy, make it obvious. Like people, especially if this is content, like it's in an email or it's in a social media post where people are scrolling through very fast, you want to make it sure that no one has any type of questions about if or but what they should be doing. And one last thing I want to talk about, which really is more in your like engagement section, but email marketing is probably the thing I see as a marketing channel that in terms of us thinking about creating impactful content and creating great results, the return on investment from email marketing is so good. People have been trained for like over decades now to buy through emails, but most small business owners aren't making enough of it and they don't put enough of a focus on building their mailing list. So if you want to try and grow your mailing list a bit more, which I'm always encouraging people to do, here are some things you can try out. So you can be like doing white papers, reports, ebooks and guides. You can do assessments and quizzes. I absolutely love a good quiz. You can offer discounts and vouchers and coupons, free trials and samples. You can do webinars and workshops, contests and giveaways, and priority access. But you really should have a lead, a mailing list, a lead generating focus on how are you continually growing your mailing list. Your mailing list should be growing every single week. It's a key part of like every small business's marketing. And then I can't talk about content creation without talking about equipment, because I know that's one of the things that really like people get all like, oh, I don't have enough equipment, I can't all do this. Let's start with the super basics. Like you even need a smartphone or a computer. You need something to be able to like write with, and you need something to be able to like record with, hopefully, because I'm hoping everyone is going to do some type of video. Next, good lighting. Now, this is always really fun when I watch all the content creators in America talk about this, and they all have this like gorgeous sunlight. And I'm saying this as I'm looking out on, I live in Nottingham and I call it Nottingham grey. It's always grey. Good lighting. Yes, if you can get natural light, great. I used to record my early YouTube videos like on a weekend because I had a day job between like 11 and 3 when I had like this window of time. But let's be real, this is the UK, so we don't have a lot. So just buy some lighting, and it doesn't have to be like anything fancy. I had an Amazon ring light. No, it wasn't Amazon ring light, I forgot what it's called, but I bought it off Amazon, and I'd had it for like 7 years and it lasted. All my videos were amazing. Like all my videos, the quality of it was absolutely fine. It lasted for 7 years. So you can buy one light, make that last. You don't have to have this 3 set point setup that you've probably seen somewhere to get going. If you are lucky enough to get enough light, look at the window. If not, get a light. Then if you want to start upgrading a little bit, then I'm like, yeah, getting a tripod can be super helpful. This just means that you can record other bits of content where maybe if you don't have someone else to film with you, like I'm someone that I create all my content by myself. It's very, very rare I ever have someone else as an extra hand to record. So a tripod has become like my absolute best friend, hence why I have two in this video here. And actually one of them, so on the left hand side, that includes my Pivo. So that's actually a little device that will rotate when you move. So it actually means now, even if you're by yourself creating content, if you wanted to create like some moving B-roll footage, you can use that. Oh, we've got questions about your a ring light and glasses. I don't know the answer to that, Caroline. I definitely have seen other content creators that do have glasses that do use like some type of lighting. So definitely like there will be some, I think if you search for it, you would find someone else that talks about it, but I don't wear glasses, so it's definitely not a trick that I've had to learn. I think usually it's to do with like the direction and tilting it, but yeah, have a little search because I know other people have answered it. And then last but not least, it might be that a microphone, again, if you are going to take, like if you want to go into podcasting, if you just want to take your video quality to the next stage, then having a microphone can help you to do that. But that is not essential. Like I created all my original YouTube videos without a microphone, and I definitely didn't have a tripod. Like I literally was like balancing it on something. So don't let the equipment stop you down. Like literally, if you have got a phone and you've got a laptop and you've got some natural light, you are good to go. Oh, thank you, people who are answering the comments about what to do when you wear glasses. And then here are some other time-saving tools. So I have got all these, I've got a resources section on my website, but I've tried to pull out the time-saving ones. So from a scheduler perspective, I always say like using something like Later, where you can post across multiple social media platforms, is really helpful. This is like obviously a content distribution thing, but it means you can quickly get something out across multiple channels rather than in one place. If you're using Pinterest, Tailwind can be great to be able to, again, get lots more pins out in a lot of time rather than doing it manually. If you are creating short form video, then using a tool like Repurpose.io can be amazing because it will automatically save and repurpose it again across other platforms. If you want to get into live video and you want to do that on multiple platforms, then using like StreamYard will be great for you for that. And if you are going to create video, then using a tool like Descript, it can like it will edit and transcribe your video and audio, so it's like super useful. And I just want to say, like, there are so many tools now that do mean that even if you don't have physically some other support, you can invest in them to be like to make what you are doing by yourself go further, or for the process to be quicker. So that's all around content creation. Now I'll talk a little bit about actually the content, like what you are saying. And so to make your content more compelling, you need to get to know your ideal customer or client more. I cannot stress this enough. The better, for your content to get better and better, the more you know the people you're selling to, the easier it's going to be. You want to be focusing on the benefits even more. You want to be really speaking their language. And then to really take things to the next level, you can be creating for all four buyer types. So when it comes to your ideal client or customer, you want to know like their current pain points, their fears, their current beliefs, their desires. And then for focusing on the benefits, not the features, this is a really common marketing principle, but I just want to always reiterate it because you want to be selling the outcome, not the process. It's really easy to talk about all the things that are going to happen in between, but it's like, what are they going to get out of it? What are the actual benefits? Not what have you included, not this is a 17-point things, like what do they get at the end? And what is the transformation they're going to experience from using your product or service? The more you can talk about that, the like easier it's going to be. And you need to really make sure you are putting yourself in your ideal customer or client shoes. So what's in it for me and why should I buy from you? That is what people are thinking. They just want to know, what am I going to get and why should I buy from you, not from someone else? Those are the two things constantly people are asking. So you need to be really making it clear what they get. That's why you're like really focusing on what the benefits are for them, and why they should buy from you is this is where you really being able to own what is your USP, how do you differentiate, and that's why some of that stuff we talked about in know, like, and trust, that's going to help you to separate yourself from the other like your competitors. So are you speaking the same language as your ideal client or customer at the moment? Do you feel like the way you write and the way you talk in your content is the same, or is there difference? Ooh. So that's good to see. Yeah, we need to make sure, and this is something that like takes time. And if you are also someone who is using like video and audio content and you are creating written content, even that can be really difficult. Like I think actually you can be learning to write in your client's language, but by trying to actually speak it, it can sometimes be a very different thing. Even I personally am like, yeah, the two of them, even though I speak like I record live videos every single week and I create videos for TikTok every single day, even I can still tell there is like a slight difference between the two. So it definitely is something that's like continual progress. And the thing is, as your ideal client and customer changes, which is often in a business, it's constant work. It's never going to be like you've done it and you're over forever. And that's why doing these things is important. So doing market research, checking out on social media, look at the way that those people that you all want to work with, what do they write? How do they talk? Feedback, really look at the words people use in both the feedback and the reviews that you get. And what you want to really try and do is be specific. So the more specific you can be around your messaging, the more it will feel like your product or your service is perfect for them. So I had an example, which is like vague would be like fed up with poor views on TikTok. Specific is like posting daily on TikTok, but still find yourself stuck in 200 to 300 view jail. Now, I remember when I saw this piece of copy on a video once, and I was specifically like, I was that person in that 200, 300 jail. And I was like, that makes such a difference because poor views, you're like trying to gauge what does someone else class as poor views, whereas a number, being able to quantify it, made it very, very clear if this was or wasn't for that person. And then last but not least, if you really want to take things to the next level, is you want to be creating for different buyer types. So there are 4 main buyer types and the way that people actually buy. And most of us will naturally create content based on the way that we buy. And so actually, when you're really looking to create more impactful content, by varying your content, actually this is going to really help you to take that to the next level. So we've got like assertive driver. These are people who are fast action. They just want to know like what's going to happen, what is the outcome, and they will buy. Like they are people that they will usually have the shorter buy journey. If you say the right things to them and they believe in you, they'll buy super, super quick. Then we've got analytical. These are people that want to know all the detail. These are the people that are going to read the whole sales page. They actually do care a little bit more about like what the features are, and they are going to be more considered. They are more likely to look at like comparisons, look at competitors before they make a decision. Then we've got expressive. This is people that it is about the experience and the feeling. They want to be inspired. And so storytelling really, really connects to expressive people. And amiable people are the ones that want to feel connection. They are going to buy based on your values. These are the people that seeing the behind the scenes and hearing about you, your values for your business, they're going to buy from that. And so actually, even just looking at that will inform different pieces of content. And that's where when you can start to be like, actually, you can choose an angle and then be like, how would I write this if I wanted to attract an assertive or driver? How would I write this for analytical? How would I write this for expressive? And how would I write this for amiable? And what that can mean is actually you can start to stretch out one like content pillar idea and move it into multiple pieces of content just by trying to attract those different types of buyer types. And then last but not least, we can talk about repurposing and recycling content, because at the moment, how often do you currently repurpose content? Most small business owners I know creating content on a churn. They're just creating, posting, creating, posting, creating, posting. I want to know who else is like, I actually repurpose. I do this regularly. Yay! Someone is like, yes. Oh no, that's not. I read that too quick. That's not someone said they're saying the recording's going to go out. And yes, okay. Someone got very, very occasionally, and this is usually what I see. People start to, oh, we've got an all the time. Well done. But other people that aren't an all the time, these are some tips to help you to get the most out of it, because you are the only person who sees 100% of your content. I like say this all the time, and I forget, even I forget sometimes. So a good email open rate is going to be anywhere between 20 to 30%. So that means 70% of your mailing list didn't open it. They did not even read that. Then you are lucky, depending on what social media platform you're on, if 10% of your social media followers see a post. On average, you're not even getting 5%. Only 1 in 20 people is going to be seeing one of your social media posts, which means you could technically post that 10 times and the likelihood is going to be still only half of your audience have actually seen it. When you remember this, it really helps to take the pressure of thinking you can repeat. And also it's good for business to repeat. When you repeat, you are increasing the fact that you're going to become known for that, remembered for that, and recommended for that. So there is no harm in repeating in your content. So repurposing across multiple marketing channels. So a very, very common structure is like you create your long form content. So you get that blog, you get a YouTube, you get a video, a podcast episode, sorry. That's your piece of long form content. You pour all the goodness into that. Then, as we said, you can using tools like Descript. You can then be pulling out like the transcript, and then that can be used to help you to be like, fine, what do? I can send an email. You can send an email where you are specifically like pulling out a few things and then telling people to go and consume the full piece of content. Or you could even just pull some things out and just share those directly in the email. And then you can do social media posts around that same topic. Again, you can do some which are specifically just about that content and you're driving people to consume the long form piece of content, or standalone pieces of social media content. Now, what this means in terms of like when we're talking about impactful content with limited resources is when you get into that process of being like, you can put your planning energy into the long form content. You can be like, I need to make sure the long form content is strategic. I need to make sure I'm really clear about how that is going to be helping people to make decisions about buying from us. And then you know that everything else you create for the rest of that, like off that back, it's going to be great because the original piece of content was strategic. And so this will help you to not have all these pieces of like random content that feel a bit off the wall. Also, I mean, if you do decide to invest in some tech, you can get these like planning processes and creation and distribution processes sort of like on autopilot, like there's a rhythm. And it also means if you then do decide to get someone to help, you can be someone that's like, I focus on creating that long form piece of content. I create something I'm really proud of, I'm like really believe in, and then I can feel pretty confident that someone can repurpose this because there's an original piece of content that's good. So it's not like I'm letting them just go off and loose and wild. So it can be a really, really powerful structure to use. Now, if you're not like, you don't create long form content at the moment, you're not creating email, obviously, you know, I say you should get an email, and you're like, well, how can I still be repurposing? You can still, even if you're just on social media, be repurposing. So one way to do this is you can do the exact same post, can go onto another platform. It's not like highly recommended, it's the laziest form of repurposing, but absolutely you can just pick something up and put it somewhere else. You can use a visual asset, can be used across multiple different platforms, but with different captions. So quite often, for example, I will very often do, like, if I can be bothered to put something on Facebook, that Facebook post is just going to be something that I use on LinkedIn, on Instagram. And it's just, I change it because like maybe on Facebook, I actually put the link. I don't put as many hashtags as I do on Instagram. There might be just something, a different call to action. I tag a different business differently, for example. So there might be a small tweak. You can have the caption can be reused with a different visual or no visual. So you can have written something, you're like, this is great. And it might be that you use for like on LinkedIn, you just have an image, whereas on Instagram, you decide to do a video. So that can be something that's like very common, I see. And then the exact same post can be used at the same time at a future point. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. So adapting to the different platforms is something that I'm a real big fan of. This also means that very often, because people are visually more aware than people are reading your captions, it actually makes people feel like you're repurposing less. So like this is a post I did where I talk about being lonely. And I did a video where I recorded to Britney Spears' My Loneliness. And I recorded the video and I used the video on Instagram because I am someone that does make reels quite often. Was on LinkedIn, even though they're still pushing video at the moment, generally your photos still perform better. I just made a side-by-side of me and Britney. Now, the caption was absolutely the same, but when you're going through the feed, the two things look different. One was a video with music, one is a picture side by side. And most people aren't even on both platforms. They're going to see me at the same time anyway. So actually, this is a really good way of you feeling like you're creating content that's for a platform. You're using the visual asset that is most suitable or going to perform the best, but you're not spending ages. I know many people that spend a lot of time on the caption. Make your caption get the most use you can. And then when it comes to scheduling content, as I said, this was a tool I mentioned on that time saving thing, is I use a tool called Later. which if you are going to be creating something and posting it across multiple, this is a super easy way, because you just like can drag in the visual asset and then you write your caption, and then it allows you, if you click on the bottom where it says customizable posts, that will allow me to quickly make those changes. So if I want to add the hashtags in and I want to change an actual link to like link in bio on Instagram, for example, you can just do that. So it makes you posting across multiple social media platforms super, super fast, which is always good. And then I want to quickly talk about repurposing evergreen versus seasonal. So we saw some people are posting recycling and purposing occasionally. Some people are more on it. And when it comes to repurposing old content, it really does depend on the type of content you're creating. So if you are creating evergreen content, this is content where it doesn't matter whenever anyone reads that piece of content, it's going to be suitable. So like if it's something that's like, this is a product or service that's always available, and it means if anyone ever reads this, they can click through, they can buy in that exact moment in time, you class that as evergreen content, and that's something that can be recycled every 3 months very, very easily. So you could be repurposing that thing out every 4 years and do that. Then for seasonal purposes, this might be something that only comes around once a year. So really good example, obviously, we've just had Halloween. There are some businesses where like, that's probably going to be a really busy period. You create loads of gorgeous Halloween content, bring that back out next year. There's no need for you to wait. So here is a picture of me. This is the post I bring out every year. It will come out in the next 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure. Me at the beach at Brighton, where I'd done an away day for the business in my last corporate job. And so this time of year, I'm always talking to business owners about planning for the new year. And so that post keeps coming back, because who can remember it from 1 year ago? And even if they do, like, it's a core like story around why I'm such a big fan of spending a day out of your business to work on your business. So if you've got seasonal content, if you've got something that's to do with Christmas, if you're someone that works in the financial space, and so like the end of the tax year, like if there's anything seasonal, you want to be gathering up all that content and being like, bring it back out next year. And sometimes it might be when you bring it back out next year, you've got to make some tweaks. There definitely was times in the past where, you know, I could tell the year like Instagram Reels really took off. And so actually I changed some of the assets, but I just left all the captions the same. So definitely, if you aren't repurposing right now, I cannot stress enough to make your life easier and to make your time go further, start more repurposing. And the great way to do this is to create a golden content bank. So somewhere when you've got content that's performed really well, store it all up, put it in somewhere that's easy for you to go back to, and then you can just keep going round and round. But remember, there's no point in repurposing content if it wasn't impactful in the first place, which is why you need to be doing your content analysis. So you need to be going back to those goals that I mentioned right at the beginning and checking, has this been happening? Has this actually been meaning people are coming through to your website? We're checking Google Analytics, where they come from. Has this meant your conversion on your sales page has gone up? Are you making the sales on the specific things you have been promoting? Have you been getting more people onto your mailing list, for example? Choose a monitoring frequency that works for you. This might be monthly, this might be weekly. Choose something, stick to it, and do it. Actually look at what's working. And really focus on this idea about moving people on the buyer journey. So look at traffic sources. How are people coming through to your websites, to your sales pages? If you are someone that's like in the service space like me, where I get people to DM me, you're using different words, what posts, what words people are using, track it. If you get feedback during calls, ask people what made people book a call. If people apply, if you have on your form when people buy, like, how do you hear about your business? How did you hear about this business? Ask these questions and keep on using this feedback to optimize. You should constantly be in market research mode. Like, the more you understand your client and the customer, the more you understand what's making people buy, the better. And then all that feedback can be used to influence your future content. So to recap, you need to know what marketing channels you are using for what part of the buyer journey. You actually, how I had those 3 steps, like, you should map it out. Ideally, you'll have multiple. So map all of them out so you can really understand, okay, this is the routes people could be taking. And then focus on creating content that moves people along. Then speak the language of your ideal client customer and continually analyze and optimize. So what has been your biggest takeaway? If you want to share. It's always really nice to hear what people have really been enjoying. And I actually did do a post on my social medias today where I'm asking. So if you do go over, you will see I do practice what I preach, and I'm asking to find out what people did. Different content for different buyer types. The buyer types, this is always something that people get excited about. Repurposing old content. Yes, repurpose your old content. That's what we need more of. Reuse content. Yes, this is what we love. And so I do go into this. Obviously, this has been a whistle stop tour. So I do go more into like how to actually plan your content better. So if you DM me on Instagram or LinkedIn saying plan, I will send you the link for that. It goes through a bit in the more detail, not just about creating the content, but the planning side, so you can make the best possible. And now we'll move over into the Q&A.
Hello. Oh, thank you so much, Charelle. That was such a wonderful presentation. Very much a whistle stop tour, as you say, but I feel you've covered so much ground and there's been so much love for you in the chat, which is great to see. So thank you for that.
That's all right. Do we have any, what's in the questions?
Absolutely. So we'll dive straight into questions. One question is about equipment. What do you recommend for a teleprompter?
So I think the one I use is literally called like teleprompter. Like I haven't used it. I don't use it very, very often. It's very occasionally just if someone is making me makes me like I have to do a promo video or something, and I have to like get it word for word right. But yeah, I think I just use one that's called teleprompter. There's probably definitely someone that's uses it more often that can have something great to recommend. Sorry about that.
No problem. Next question is, what type of content do you find lend themselves best to repurposing?
Oh, I mean, so in terms of like getting the most use out of stuff, I think if you're creating videos, please be repurposing them like more, because I feel like a lot of people spend a lot of time. So if we're talking about like efficiency, people will spend a lot of time creating a video, and often it goes at once and I feel like it dies. So I think if you're spending the time making video content, I really would be thinking about how are you making the most use out of it. And then I think again, this is where I would say if you really want to start repurposing to the max, trying as much as possible to focus on truly evergreen content in your business, or what I class as proper seasonal. So actually there's like 3 categories I actually class of content of being like evergreen, seasonal, and timely. And actually timely is the one in many ways that gets the most interaction. So if you do something so, you know, like right now, if you wrote something about the elections in America, for example, like, because that's a very specific, it's happening right now, it's on people's minds, but you can never use that again. Whereas actually seasonal, at least, even if you're like someone that's, okay, you're about to do content for Christmas, you can use that again next year. So it has another life. And if you have something that's evergreen, obviously you can do that all the time. So I would say if you really want to be repurposing to the max, focus on truly evergreen and seasonal, and probably try and reduce your timely.
Excellent, good advice. Does the Later app help with scheduling posts to go out at the most optimal time on each individual platform?
Ooh. I don't know. That's the answer. It could do, it could not. I definitely someone that just chooses a time I want to set them out and I send them out.
Do you find there's like more optimal times, or is that kind of a thing of the past and not something that's...
No, I definitely, so for example, TikTok, you get pushed out to 200-ish people within the first hour, and then how your content performs in that hour absolutely does have a direct impact on then how much it continues to get pushed. So actually doing that at a time your audience is awake, for example, is pretty important. On some other, so I think it does matter for some platforms, but I think really the main thing is being like, when is your audience awake? I think trying to at least make sure they're awake. And that, I know that might sound strange, but for some people, if you've got someone like me that's online, it could be like, even though you're based in England, actually you've got a higher percentage of your followers could be like in the USA, for example. So into that degree, but I'm definitely like someone that I think as a small business owner, to get to the point where like the timing, like you could stress out on that for so much, and I'm like, actually getting into a rhythm and being consistent with your frequency posting, I find is more valuable than, I feel like if you've got experts and you've got all that help to try and mess around with timing, like fine, but I feel like for most people doing it by themselves, that's just like an extra layer that isn't essential.
And maybe like, I know often people find if you just post at the same time every week, then people can expect it, and then they kind of, that might actually be more helpful. Thank you for that.
It's all right.
Excellent. There's a few questions about various different content creation tools that you use. Are there some which are free? Are there others which you could recommend that you like using?
So I think that I think most of the ones I mentioned on that slide were, I'd say most of them are freemium, if that makes sense. So like StreamYard, if you have to pay for the premium version to be able to go across multiple platforms, for example, but you can just stream live onto one platform free straight away. Canva, there definitely is a free version, but there definitely is a paid version. Descript, I can't remember now. What else did I recommend? Tailwind, there's a free and there's a premium version of it. So yeah, most of them I think usually are, there's a like 2-tier of a free and a premium. And so obviously it's like you as a business owner just need to work out what the functionalities are and required. But usually, as I said, like this was meant to be about with limited resources. And I still think the investment on a piece of tech, like I specifically chose ones where it's going to mean, for example, like with Tailwind, it's like you could get more pins out in a shorter period of time. Or with StreamYard, if you pay the premium version, it's so you can go live on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn at the same time. So actually, I'm like, it's drastically saving you time, that financial investment should be worth it. And really none of these are like, we're talking crazy amounts of money, like, because they're pieces of software, usually they're all like on a monthly subscription that's fairly like low.
Another question has just popped up in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm a one-stop person doing my content. It does feel like the blind leading the blind sometimes, even though I have some really great ideas. What do you think can help me achieve my goals easier? Would a trainer be a good idea?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always going to be someone that says, even if you only once work with someone on your strategy. So as I said, there's like 5 stages. And really the best way you can put yourself in the best position of content is actually to get a content strategy, and sitting down with an expert to do that will mean then even if you're doing all the rest by yourself, you know you've got that firm foundation to keep referring back to. So yeah, I definitely would always say get a bit of one-on-one if you can afford it.
Another question about kind of copyright issues with images. So some
Oh.
people say that they put a lot of time in making sure that their images are their own and they're not not copywriting infringement on other people. Is there any way that you can reduce the risk of someone else using your images without getting the appropriate kind of acknowledgement?
I do not know the answer to that.
Isn't it?
No, because I don't. No one's going to steal mine. That's what.
Say that, you never know.
Oh yeah. But and then that's probably like actually other profiles and brands I run and stuff. It has happened, but that just did remind me of something which I probably should flag up, which is Instagram has definitely changed recently. They're like, they want to make sure the original content, the original person is like attributed, and they're really trying to crack down on like repurposed, reused, whatever. And I did have a warning come up in my Instagram, but it was a piece of my own content. So I did wonder, but I've only had it once. So I'd need to keep repurposing stuff for a while to work out whether it's now going to start flagging up, even if you repurpose your own content. Yeah, as I said, it's only come up once. So I just was like, because I was like, I've definitely not stolen someone else's, but that's definitely something I'm keeping an eye on as a business owner at the moment to see if that will become an issue in the future.
Yeah. Fab. Okay, so potentially Instagram might be the place to, if you want to be doubly sure, because it sounds like that. Are there any other questions coming in from anyone? Oh gosh, lots of people having their images stolen. Didn't realize this was such a big thing. Wow, if there's nothing else, we'll end the session here today. But thank you so much for everyone for joining. Thank you to Charelle for such a wonderful webinar. And also thank you to BT Digital Skills for supporting Small Business Saturday tour and making this possible. Remember, we'll be here Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. for more webinars. And if you attend 10, we will send you a free Christmas gift. So I will say goodbye for now. Any final remarks before we go, Charelle?
No, that's great. Thank you to everyone who's come. As I said, come and say hi to me on Instagram or LinkedIn. It'd be lovely to chat to you more.
Fabulous. Thanks so much. You'll have a good day.
Bye.